23. I am your host, Keith Andrew. Along here is Stephen Mendel, and I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's interesting. I don't think I've done interviews on camera. I've done interviews over the radio, or rather the telephone, really, and in radio studios. But this is the first time I'm doing one via Skype, so that's new for me. And I'm sitting here in California in my home studio, where I do a lot of the work that I do these days. I do from home. I do books. I do documentary narration. I do all kinds of stuff right here. My commute when I'm lucky enough is I walk out of the bedroom and I come downstairs and I go to the kitchen and I get myself a cup of coffee, and then I come down the stairs to the lower level and I go to work right here in the booth.
Did you ever know, like I said, I'm going to ask you a lot of easy questions, hard questions, and you can ask me anything you want, a half-hour conversation, but for people out there who want to know, or people out there that are tired of me of repeating myself for the 123rd time, but I'm going to say it anyway, the whole point of Uncensored is to show people that even with a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, turning myself into a perfect example for people out there deaf, blind, or in a wheelchair. You should never label yourself or have people label you. You need to prove to them you can still mount to something no matter what.
Well, I can really relate because I was, long before ADD and ADHD were commonly known about, I had ADD as a kid. Nobody knew what the heck it was then, but I couldn't stop moving around, and I had trouble paying attention, and I was labeled a bad kid. But it really just was me being who I was. So I really can relate to having difficulties, learning disabilities, learning difficulties. So I'm really connected to that.
I'll give you a perfect example. I guess we're on the same page, which for the most part. But what do you say when you had your ADD? If you don't mind me for asking, was it hard to concentrate, or did you have to be very interested on doing something to keep your interest?
That was the ticket. It had to be something that interested me, that kept my focus and my attention. Otherwise, I was just doing other things. I'm still a big reader. I love to read, and I loved to read as a kid too. It was, but it was a challenge getting me to read something that I had no interest in.
I'll give you a perfect example. I'm not bad as some people I know. I have a little case of OCD, but I work at my current job and they're freaking ass backwards, completely disorganized, and it's kind of like, I can organize this for you. It would be better for me because I would know where the hell all the shit has to go.
Right.
And instead of throwing it into a big pile, we get to it when we get to it. But then it's kind of like I can't work like this. Then my ADD kicks in. So I go, well, if they're not taking it seriously, what else can I get into? And I start coming up with other ideas, and my mind starts to wandering. And it's
what kind of job do you do? What kind of job are you at these days?
Well, for right now, I am at a stock retail in Woodbury Commons.
Stock retail. Oh, what is that? What kind of store is that?
It's a retail store. And so I could basically, you ever heard of Woodbury Commons?
No.
Woodbury Commons is the second biggest mall in North America. It's a big tourist attraction.
Oh, where is this now?
New York, near West Point.
Okay, my brother lives in New York. He's in Manhattan. But so where is it in relation to Manhattan?
An hour and a half going north.
Okay, so up through Westchester County?
going the opposite way, going down. It's more near Central Valley, near West Point. If you mention West Point, you know, everyone knows where that is.
Okay, sure.
So I'm there doing stock, you know, working in the back. And sometimes, you know, it's great because I like doing stock. But when their store is completely disorganized, and I don't mean to hesitate, I apologize. When they're completely disorganized and they have the don't give a shit attitude, like I said, it is uncensored, you can curse if you want to, then it's kind of like, what am I doing here? There's sometimes they get on my case saying, what is the big thing is I won't mention a name because I'm still there, but they would say, we sell big pony and small pony. Meaning on the shirt you have a big logo of a horse.
Right.
So it's like, do you want big ponies or small pony? Okay, I know the difference. One's big and the other's small. But then you go on and on saying what is fasten and what is neon and what is neon, what is fasten. But it's a freaking t-shirt. You like it, you put it on, there you go. It's not freaking rocket science.
Right.
I know, but the biggest thing that gets to me is that they're not organized, and every time I try to help, they make up some kind of excuse, and I look like the bad guy.
Well, you know, I understand. You know, one of the things that I do for pleasure is I'm just doing something here right now where I'm trying to create a big, trying to change the color on my screen, so that okay, I gotta just eliminate this, hold on.
Yeah, take your time.
No, I'm trying to, delete this track here, there we go, and then, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to change the color on the screen so that it's got a better light.
I see you're going for the Patrick Stewart look, guy. It's good. You can pull it off.
Well, I've had it for a long time. It's me. So let me just do. I know what I'm going to do. Here we go. I think that's a little better, isn't it?
Yep, it is.
Okay, there we go. Oops. And there we go. And now I'm getting it a little. There we go. I think that's a little better. I tried to change the color, but I'm not having a lot of success. So there we are. Okay, so I dimmed it a little bit. I dimmed my screen a little bit.
What about you? You ever work in retail?
The only retail, let's see, what have I done? When I was in college, I worked in a hardware store. Not college, yeah, junior college. I worked in a hardware store. I worked in a scuba shop. Let me see if there's anything else. I can't recall off the top of my head. That seems to be about it. I like to, one of the things I do is I teach scuba diving. Not lately because I moved just north of Los Angeles to the town of Ventura about a year ago. So I'm not teaching as much as I did back then. What else can I tell you?
Whatever you want. I don't mean to pry.
No, it's okay. Just, if you go ahead and ask away. What interests you? What would you like to know? What can I tell you?
Well, you mentioned you do audiobooks. If you're interested, I would like to hire you for a job.
Well, sure. I'm happy to do that. I have one that I just did last month or the month before? You know the movie Foxcatcher that's coming out?
Heard of it.
Steve Carell is one of the leads. And Channing Tatum. Well, I just narrated that book, the original book, for Random House, and not too long ago I did another book for Random House of Louis L'Amour short stories, and I'm currently doing a book of short stories by the author David Brin, who's a science fiction author, award-winning science fiction author. He's got the Hugo and the Nebula, all the big awards for science fiction. He's best known for writing the wonderful book out of which a terrible movie was made called The Postman. Terrible movie, great book. Kevin Costner produced it and starred in it, and I just don't think they did a good job with the source material. So yes, sure, I am available. That we can talk. We can certainly talk about that. I do those right here in this booth that I'm sitting in now, and it's really terrific. You can actually, you know what I'll do? Let me see if I can do this. I'm going to turn it the other way. Well, no, I don't have to. I'll just turn the lights on, and I'll show you what the booth looks like. Not that one, this one, I guess.
I was noticing you have a lot of padding. Is that to keep the voice and the tones in the room?
Well, what you do with, I'm going to take it out here, and I'm going to show it to you. Oops, hold on. Did I cut you off? I hope I didn't cut you off.
No, it's fine.
Oh. Okay, here we go. Come on back. There we go. Well, see, what we do here in the booth is the padding, that's the door behind me there. The padding is not padding exactly. This material is an acoustic foam, and what it does is it prevents the sound from bouncing around so that it doesn't sound like you're in a toilet or a closet. And that's the screen, that's the computer screen. I use the iPad that I'm holding in my hand to use my material on. This is my main microphone right there. That's a Sennheiser 416, my backup microphone. I don't know if you can see it over here. I've got my hand on it. Is a Audio Technica. And, you've got my headphones are right here. They usually sit, when I'm not wearing them, they sit on this hook beside the door. And the keyboard slides away underneath here, so when I need it, I push it away. And what you see on the screen is what I made it. I made the waveform very large because I was trying to change the color. That's what's illuminating my face right now. And my little, I guess you call it my office. This is where this iPad sits in. I'm going to turn off the light now because we don't need all the bright lights. All right. Okay, so this iPad sits in a power a stand called a MOFIE, M-O-F-I-E, which gives it looks like a little pedestal that it sits on. I can adjust it for height, although I'd like to get it up a little higher. I just need to find something that'll be appropriate to not bounce the sound around. And that's my little my little mission control. It's actually 4 feet by 6 feet, and it's 7 feet tall, and it's a pretty solid piece of. It's like a little building that sits all by itself, freestanding little booth.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's actually called a Whisper Room. It's made by a company called Whisper Room, and it's a prefab unit. I built one myself, and it worked, but it wasn't pretty. And my girlfriend said that she would rather not have it in the house when we decided that we were going to live together. So I said, oh, okay, I'll buy one. So there you have it. That's where we are right now in Ventura, California. And you're in New York. As I said, my brother lives in, his wife and 2 kids, they live in New York. So.
Well, you mentioned Brooklyn. Where about in Brooklyn, if you don't mind me?
I don't think they live in Brooklyn. They live in Manhattan.
Ah.
Yeah, and but I'm familiar with Manhattan. I know a little bit about Long Island. I know my brother's company used to have offices up in Yonkers. My grandparents lived in Brooklyn for many years, but Brooklyn or the Bronx. I'm sorry, I don't remember which now. Brooklyn or the Bronx? Probably the Bronx.
Actually, my father grew up in the Bronx. Where about?
I have no idea. I was there once when I was like 8 years old. So long time ago. So
Did he ever
What else can I tell you? You found me. I am an actor and a voiceover artist. I've been an actor and a voiceover artist for, over 35 years now. I guess as an actor, I have two claims to fame. I did a television series in the 80s, from 1985 to 1990, which was called Night Heat, and it was a cop show that ran on CBS, and I played a detective. And the show was mainly notable because our producer, who was our creator, his name is Sonny Grosso, Grosso, and Sonny Grosso is the real New York NYPD cop who broke the French Connection case with his partner, Eddie Egan. And I don't know exactly when the case was broken, sometime in the 60s, but Sonny went on to be the technical advisor on the movie The French Connection, and he was played by Roy Scheider. And so Sonny created this TV show, loosely patterned on his experiences in the NYPD, and we were the Night Squad. And we went out and mainly filmed and shot at night and lived like vampires for 5 years. We'd shoot in our available darkness, and sorry, I'm just moving around here. I got a little cramp in my leg. Ow. The other claim to fame as an actor would be recently I had a recurring role on the series Mad Men on A&E, and I played father of one of the writers. I played a man named Morris Ginsburg, and I played him with a very, very heavy Polish Yiddish accent. As far as voice work goes, the stuff I've done is it's just lots and lots and lots of. I narrate documentaries, for example, for Discovery Channel. I narrated some for their Shark Week, Great Whites and all of those sorts. 3 years in a row, the one that I narrated was the opener for Shark Week. I do commercials, I do animation, I do anime, video games, you name it, I'll voice it. So, and I still continue to work. I just did an episode of a series called Legends that stars Sean Bean, and I just played on a series called You're the Worst, and I played the father of one of the leads. I was a doctor I was Ron Perlman's doctor on Sons of Anarchy. I was, what's the guy's name? I played a doctor on Criminal Minds, and I can't remember the character name. The character has long hair. He's a bit of a nerdy guy. I was his doctor, and you name it. So I've made a living as an actor for, 38 years. Hard to believe.
Now, before I ask you any hard acting questions, I was going to say before, I didn't want to interrupt, but going back to the Bronx, my father was born and raised in, there's two places, but the one that stands out the most is Strong Street.
I don't know any of the geography. I just don't know. I don't know anything at all.
Hey, well, while we're still on subject, did you ever do any fighting video games, or what is your preference of a good...
I really don't have a preference. I've done some of the ones about war, and I'd have to look at my resume to tell you what they were, because I really don't even remember. Let me see if I can call up IMDb, because I don't remember my own stuff here. And now I can't even see my keyboard. IMDb.com. There we go. Let's see. Because I think it had some of my... Okay,
no, it's funny. I made my own IMDb, but I was unable to add stuff to it.
You have to get onto. Okay, I was in Command and Conquer, Wanted, Weapons of Fate. Those are the two that are up here. I've done other ones. I have a list of them, but unfortunately they're on my other computer. A list of anime and stuff like that. Is there anything else? You're the worst. I'm in a movie called Angry Video Game Nerd, the movie, if you've ever had any experience with that guy. Mad Men, Sons of Anarchy, Criminal Minds. Oh God, I did 3 episodes. In 2008, apparently, I'd forgotten about it. I did 3 episodes of The Bold and the Beautiful, which is a soap opera. Las Vegas. I did a movie called The Terminal. I was on 24. CSI Miami, The West Wing, Judging Amy, The Practice, Jag. God, all kinds of others.
Out of all of them, what was your favorite, and what was the worst?
Well, I think my favorite work as an actor has been on stage. Notably, let's see, I did, let me go back to Pro Tools here. That's better. I did a show called The Foreigner, which is a very wonderful comedy written by a fellow named Larry Shue. And I did this at the Pasadena Playhouse. It's quite a few years ago, but it was incredibly rewarding. I was working with the lead actor was a wonderful fella named Steve Vinovich. Wonderful actor who really should have been better known than he is. And the rest of the cast, it was one of those rare experiences when everybody is working together and working to make the play a better play and supporting each other in having a wonderful, rewarding time as actors, and it was just terrific. We did it for about 3 or 4 months here in Los Angeles, and we did a little tour. We went up to Santa Barbara, we went down to San Diego, and it was really, really a wonderful experience. I did another play. There's a wonderful movie made out of it. The play is called Educating Rita, and Julie Waters and Michael Caine did the movie. It's a wonderful play. Two characters in the play, and it's about this. She's not Cockney, but she's a lower class English woman who wants to better herself, and she wants to take classes at the local university. The play is set in Manchester, and I worked. Oh my God, I just blanked on her name. Hopefully it'll come to me because, and it's quite a few years ago. It's back in the 90s. Her name will come to me. She's wonderful. Damn, sorry. But it was one of those times where the two of us just clicked. We not only became friends, but we each were there to make a wonderful play, and not just to show off how wonderful we were as actors. And we had a fantastic relationship, both on stage and off. She's a lovely, lovely woman. I'm so sorry I can't think of her name. It's just gone out of my head for the moment. But that was a fantastic experience as an actor when there are no egos involved. I mean, my worst experience, and I'm not, and it's a good thing I can't remember this woman's name, but I did a play called Pack of Lies, and it was an English play that was set in the 60s, and the play is about two families living across the street from each other in a suburb of London, and it turns out that one of the families, this is the early 60s, are actually Russian agents. but they're sleeper agents. They've been in England for many, many, many years. And what happens is a government man shows up on the doorstep of the family that's loyal and trustworthy, and tells them a whole bunch of stories about what he needs to do, and he doesn't tell them that their friends across the street are spies until much further along in the play. And it's a really good play. It's a very interesting play. But the woman who was playing the ostensible, I played the government agent, and the woman who was playing the, I guess you'd call her the lead, the female lead, apparently just didn't know that there were other actors and that she was there to serve a play and not just serve herself and do a wonderful tour de force as an actor. And she was impossible. She would demand and demand and demand, and everybody would give to her. And in the beginning, people are asking nicely for things. Give me a little more space here. Can I have a moment to do this? Can we move this over to stage left instead of stage right? And you go, well, sure, we can do that. But this woman didn't know then that if you give, if you get, you also have to give. And that was one of my worst experiences. As far as on camera, my gosh. Well, the series I did was fantastic. I mean, it was a tremendous learning experience for me. I learned so much about what everybody really does, because you are with these people. If you're a series regular, you're with them day in, day out, 10, 15, 16, 18 hours, and then go home, sleep, and come back and do it all again. And for me, I learned what grips really do, and I learned what gaffers really do, and I learned what camera assistants really do. And I watched and I tried to soak it up like a sponge, so that I could, because I was fascinated by it, absolutely fascinated by all of it. I think it would take a long time for this to happen, but I mean, I actually got to hold the boom on a shot, the boom microphone, and move the microphone in and out, and I got to move the camera around. I mean, they just let me do it, because I said, can I do that? And they go, sure. And I learned how to do all these things, and I thought this was, I was thrilled by it, just thrilled by it. So that was a fantastic experience.
When I was back in high school, one of my favorite things was I used to make videos. So I was constantly running around the building with the big clunky camera, and at the shows I was behind the scenes, I was in the lighting booth, and it was really good. I like what you're saying. It's fun. It's just,
Yeah, when I was in college, when I was in junior college, and we're going back quite a ways, we're going back to the early 70s, we had the Sony Portapack video camera. Now, this is going to be really hard to understand, but the Sony Portapack consisted of a camera. Let me think of something that it's roughly equivalent to. It's about the same size as a semi-pro video camera of today. It'll be a foot long and 6 inches wide and 8 inches high or so. And you carry it on your shoulder.
Right, I remember that.
What looked like a small suitcase that you also hung on your shoulder by a strap. And in that was a reel of actual magnetic tape that was about 1 inch wide, and it went onto the other reel like a tape recorder, if people remember what tape recorders are. And you actually had to thread that on there and activate it with buttons, and then you started the tape rolling, and then you activated the camera. We ran around shooting video that way back in the early 70s. That was astounding. What I had a fun time though. A couple of times when I was on this television series, and I was invited to attend fundraising events like for Big Brothers and telethons and whatnot. And I was invited out to the eastern part of Canada to a telethon out there. And I actually got to operate one of those great, big, huge studio television cameras that are, like 6 feet tall and huge things that roll around on casters, big casters. And I got to shoot some of that because I said I'd like to try it, and they said sure. So they let me run the camera for about a half an hour. It was great fun.
Now